some, get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate. You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything. It's a pirate's life for me. Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirate.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
You live with Omaha? I can promise you that.
And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down of my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome in to TSO Monday Night, a very special edition as we were watching our very own Carolina Hurricanes win last night. So we wanted to have a special edition tonight on Monday night. And we'll start off with Kyle from LaGrange Barber. We'll go ahead and get to early or actually quick introductions because we have a very special guest as always.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Big time watching the Canes win the Stanley Cup last night. Really enjoyed it as somebody who, not really a hockey fan, but I totally got into the Stanley Cup run and really embraced it as a lot of people did in the state. But Dave, by the way, has ECU Health thought about taking that Steve Logan quote? You don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina, you don't do anything at East Carolina with a weak heart, and have him redo it for the Heart Center and saying you do come to East Carolina with a weak heart. This is exactly where you come.
There you go. That would be great. We can do it. Hey, whatever it takes for great publicity for the medical center, we'll take it any way we can get it. Let's bring in Alan Vick. What's up, brother? That shirt. That shirt is legendary, by the way.
And how's everybody doing tonight? I'm glad to be here as always.
No doubt. Let's bring in Johnny Robertson. Johnny Stats Robertson, DG. He's got some stats for you tonight. I've been talking to him this afternoon. And Johnny, you never disappoint, and I know that you won't disappoint tonight.
Well, he's already off to a disappointing start.
Already disappointed.
I should have known. Anyway, let's bring in David Glenn for the North Carolina Sports Network. And Johnny, he might be away from the computer. I can't imagine that. You're on mute, Johnny, in case you did it. But DG, welcome in, and thank you so much for coming on short notice.
Hey, Dave, it's great to see you, Alan, Kyle, and Johnny whenever he joins us. It's always fun to be with y'all.
Hey, Johnny, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can't believe I that was a brilliant dialogue I just threw out there, and nobody heard it but my dog. Anyhow, I said I don't think my stats can live up to that billing that you just gave me, but I'm always happy to be here, especially when David's on. It's an extra treat, and I loved watching the Hurricanes win last night, and I am a bandwagon jumper, just not with the Hurricanes, but with hockey in general. I just really cared, not that much about it, but I have Hurricane fever, and I was fully invested. So
same, JR, same.
Yeah, well, DG, I tell you what a great run by the Hurricanes. I know that Rob Brindamore is a personal friend of yours, and just really, it's somebody asked me back in 2018. They said, "Who do you want as your coach?" I said, "We already have the coach," and they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "He's already on the bench. He's an assistant coach. It's Rod Brindamore. Give the guy a shot." I said, if he fails, he'll still be a huge legend to me because he won the cup for us. He was a major part as a captain. And all of a sudden, it's amazing what that guy has done for the program. And I said this, and I don't know if anybody else has said it, but I think we should put a statue in front of the Lenovo Center that was Ron Brindamore, because the man has won us now a Stanley Cup as a player and a Stanley Cup as a coach. And he's only the fourth guy to ever do that with the same franchise. I think you had to go back to the 40s. And Johnny, I forgot to send you that stat, but DG, what about that? That's just an incredible accomplishment.
Well, Rod Brindamore, I think, just certified himself as a Hockey Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
Because he's been on the cusp in that voting for a long time, and it's been a great matter of debate among people who are hockey fanatics about whether he should have been in 1 year or should have been in the next year. Now, obviously, as you mentioned, Dave, he had that long playing career, and he was not a high scorer. He was not a perennial all-star, but he played more than 1,000 games, scored more than 1,000 points, led the Canes as the team captain to that 2006 Stanley Cup championship. And not only does he now have this head coaching Stanley Cup title, that 2018 kind of fork in the road that you circled is, I think, one of the biggest in any pro sports franchise that I've ever seen. Because, number one, it's not easy to make the playoffs 8 years in a row. It's a sport where half the teams do make the postseason, but you could say it's easy to make it 1 year. It's not easy to make it 8 straight years, right? There's 3 franchises in the NHL that have made it 8 straight years or more, and the Canes are one of those 3, obviously. But the big difference for the Canes is the previous 9 years they hadn't gone at all.
Right.
That 9-year playoff drought was one of the longest for any franchise in the history of the NHL.
Correct.
So to go from truly the dregs, as bad as it gets, 9 straight postseason misses, to not only 8 straight postseason makes, but 4 Eastern Conference Finals, and then obviously this year they finally kicked the door down and got over those final humps. It's a tribute to him as a leader. The players revere him. He has been in their shoes or skates, however you want to put it, right? And one of the reasons that the Canes have such an extraordinary work ethic and extraordinary culture is that Rod Brind'Amour has been there, done that. He cares about them as human beings. He demands a lot of them as hockey players, but he's as universally respected as I've ever seen any leader in any sport. I'm not saying he's the only one. There are plenty of others, but he is as close to universally respected as anyone I've ever seen in the sport of hockey and as anyone I've ever seen in the state of North Carolina.
And you have to go back to 2018. We'll look back there, DG, as well, or even before then. And you were talking about those dark times. I felt bad for Mike Maniscalco, had a show after every single game called Aftermath on 99.9 The Fan. I felt bad for the guy because it's like loss. And it was at a point, if you guys maybe remember or don't, but DG does, they were talking about with Tom Dundon coming in and potentially moving the team. I think he got a lot of bad press he didn't deserve at the time, that he may move the team to San Antonio, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think DG I'm not Johnny Stats, but I believe the attendance was something like a few thousand a night when it was 18,000 is what you can have at a hockey game there at the Lenovo Center. So the ticket sales were very, very low. Things were not looking good. And that just makes, in my opinion, the story even better that he's got. And look at the DG talk about also, look at the number. We have more wins with the Carolina Hurricanes than I think any other team in the NHL over the last 8 years.
Yeah, and that 2018, remember, Tom Dundon becomes the owner. Tom Dundon's first major act is hiring Rod Brind'Amour as the head coach. And if Tom Dundon, the Hurricanes owner, was on with us right now, and we asked him, what is the number one factor in the culture change from 9 straight playoff misses to 8 straight playoff makes, he would say 2 words, Rod Brind'Amour. And he means it. Tom Dundon's a really smart guy. He's a really demanding guy. He doesn't suffer fools well, as that old saying goes. And he's not easily impressed, to be honest. He is a self-made billionaire, and he's incredibly demanding. The guy has stubbed a lot of toes during his time as the Hurricanes owner over these last 8 years. But he is over the top with his praise of Rod Brind'Amour. He calls Rod Brind'Amour as good a leader as anyone he's ever met in any industry or any sport. And that's a guy who's run companies and, you know, is now the owner of the Portland Trailblazers of the NBA and, you know, has started companies and become a billionaire. He's been around a lot of great leaders and successful people, but that's how he describes his head coach. So, yes, when you add regular season and playoff victories together, the Carolina Hurricanes are that most successful franchise over that period of time. And Rod Brindamore is the number one reason for that. But remember, Tom Dundon, you mentioned the contrast in attendance, Dave. A lot of that has to do, of course, with winning, right? If you lose 9 years in a row, people are going to stop coming as much. If you win 8 years in a row, people are going to come more often. And ticket prices go up, but I'm a season ticket holder. It's the only sport where I am both in the media box sometimes, but in the stands at other times. So I've been an eyewitness to the rise in home attendance for the Carolina Hurricanes, and I've been an eyewitness for the soaring ticket prices as well. But Tom Dundon took over a franchise that often had a really low payroll. The previous owner did not want to spend big. He was always complaining about being in a smaller market and not as many resources. Tom Dundon said, forget that. If a guy is worth it, I'll pay him. And if my general manager says we need to be near the NHL salary cap, we'll do it. If he's not going to do it just to do it, he's not out to win some kind of public relations narrative. But if the GM says we need this guy, and I can show you why we need this guy and why he's worth this amount of money, Tom Dundon said, let's do it. Oddly enough, this year's team was not close to the NHL salary cap. It was not one of the higher paid teams in the NHL, but Tom has shown he's willing to pay where he sees value. So the combination of that fresh take by the owner and then that legendary leader, Rod Brindamore, it's made Carolina a place to be, whether that's for sports fans across North Carolina or hockey free agents who their contract is up and they have several choices. For a long time, not many guys wanted to come to Carolina. And I'm not saying every player loves Rod Brindamore's way or loves Raleigh, North Carolina, but way more players are open to the idea of playing for the Hurricanes than was the case for, most of their first 20-some years of existence.
Yeah, Rod's done a great job. I don't know what that noise is, guys. Somebody sounds like somebody's got a car going by in the background. It sounds like traffic.
It's underwater. Sounds like somebody's underwater.
I don't know who that is, but Stevie Fly, welcome into the show. But yeah, Rod Brindamore has done a tremendous job. For a guy like me who has not been a hockey fan, who is, embraced the Hurricanes here during this playoff run and excited for next year. I want to keep this going. I really enjoyed it. I consider myself a Canes fan now. I'm bandwagon, but it is what it is. But I knew the name Rod Brindamore. I knew that name back from when he played here in 2006. And, when he took over as head coach, you followed it. You've seen him in the playoff run. You've seen the fan interest go up and up and up more and more and more. And it kind of crescendoed this year, obviously, with the Stanley Cup run. But just to see the Lenovo Center not only sold out for Stanley Cup, but sold out for road games. People in the parking lot for road games. I mean, during this playoff run, it is incredible. You talk about, players players want to move to Raleigh. Well, I'm sure when you're winning and you can play for Rod Brindamore, yeah, they want to come here. Raleigh's also a great place to live. I mean, it's, some people may like the glamour of Las Vegas or New York or, maybe want to be somewhere north in Canada. But Raleigh, is a city with a low crime rate. It's a good place to raise a family. There's enough to do with concerts and ACC basketball and football. There's plenty of shopping. There's plenty of places to eat. It's not the most glamorous place, but if I'm a player and I got a wife and kids, Raleigh would be very appealing to me from a quality of life standpoint.
All of that has been working in the Canes' favor, but it's layered, right? Without the winning, it wasn't as powerful. Without Rod Brindamore, it wasn't as powerful. I can tell you this. I don't know all the players' wives and girlfriends, but overwhelmingly, they like it here. The guys with kids overwhelmingly talk about liking raising their families here. And remember, Rod Brindamore is the example of this. Rod Brindamore chose to marry a girl from the state of North Carolina. He had his kid here. He had 3 children from a previous marriage, but he was traded here in January 2000. That wasn't that much after the Canes existed, right?
3 years.
The Whalers came here in the late 90s. So Rod Brindamore is traded here in the year 2000. The fact that he has now spent 26, 27 years here, married a girl who's, the daughter of the legendary UNC Asheville basketball coach, Eddie Biedenbaugh. I go to Wilmington all the time, and Coach Biedenbaugh and his wife live down there. I know Rod's wife, Amy, who lives here in the Triangle. to your earlier point, Wilmington has embraced the Carolina Hurricanes to a degree that I had, and I've been in Wilmington back and forth literally for 40 years. So that's also part of that evolution of Eastern North Carolina that you described, either jumping on the Hurricanes bandwagon this year or having jumped on it previously. But Rod, he's a native Canadian. He could have gone home at any time when he retired. He was not a married man when he retired. He got married soon after retiring. He wasn't even sure he wanted to get into coaching because soon after he got married, after retiring, they had their only child together. And he wanted to be a super dad. He wanted to be a husband. And he was only willing to be a part-time coach for a while and then an assistant coach. There was even years where he would not go to road games. So he was really kind of dipping his toe in the water of coaching, not sure if that's what he wanted full-time. And here we are now. He's been the NHL's coach of the year. He is they do player polls where a tiny percentage of players say, I would never want to play for that guy. He's demanding, right?
He's tough.
But a huge percentage of players list him among their, they get asked, besides your own coach, who are 2 or 3 guys that you'd want to play for around the league? And Rod finishes in the top 3 of that poll every year. So I've gotten to know him personally. He is an amazing human being, but even just according to the hockey sense and the inspirational aspect of a coach's job, he's always finding little ways to make sure that you as his player, he cares about you and he gets to know your family and he wants to know about you off the ice. And it's genuine. It's not like some transactional relationship where he's doing it only for selfish reasons. You could tell that guy was happier for every player the night the Canes clinched the cup. He was happier for them than he was for himself by 1,000 miles. And that's just who he is. And that's what makes him a true Hall of Famer. And I think, guys, if we picked our brains, I'll say this, professional sports, college is a little different. If we made a list of the times that a franchise in one of the biggest professional sports kind of came to be known as the identity of the head coach, Rod Brind'Amour would be on that list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Vince Lombardi and the Packers back in the day, and Red Auer back in the Celtics back in the day, and there are more recent examples. But he's on that list now. He is the Carolina Hurricanes because not only 8 years as a head coach, obviously more as an assistant coach, more as a part-time coach, many more as a player. There's that stat where what is it, like 97% of all Hurricanes wins in the postseason. Yeah. Rod Brind'Amour was either a player for or a coach for. Like that just doesn't happen. So he is on a it's kind of like we often see in college sports where you can't think of a program without thinking of that head coach. Doesn't happen in the pros nearly as often. Maybe Popovich in the Spurs for a while, and there are a few Belichick in the Patriots for a long time. But it's not as frequent in the pros, but it's happening right here in our backyard with Rod Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes.
DJ, I got 2 follow-ups for what you just said. First of all, way earlier in what you were saying, I wanted to call out something you said because you buried a lead. You're telling me that Brind'Amour's wife's name is, if she took her maiden name as her middle name, like a lot of Southerners do, is Beatenbach Brind'Amour?
Yeah, yes. Amy Beatenbach Brind'Amour.
That's tremendous. And the second part, do you think this would have worked? Well, I guess winning is winning. So I think the answer is probably yes. But I guess it made it a little easier. My question was originally going to be, do you think this would have worked with Brind'Amour in terms of everybody embracing him had he not played here? But winning is winning, and he's won since day one. So, yes, it would have worked. But do you think it made it easier, the fact that he was already a player? People already loved him.
Yeah, I do. Because, man, he's these guys see how he's been embraced by this community. In fact, if you guys get a chance at any point, if you've ever heard of the Players Tribune, that media outlet where athletes and coaches get to write in their own voice, so they're the author of their own story, basically. And Sebastian Aho has been one of the best Canes players for a long time. Said a version of what you just asked about, Kyle, where he said he was a free agent at some point, and Sebastian Aho is probably the best player on the team and has been for many years now. Could have gone anywhere. One of the reasons he stayed in Raleigh was that he, over his time as a player, not only respected Rod Brindamore, saw Rod's love for the triangle and saw how the triangle in the state of North Carolina embraced Rod. And Sebastian Aho's from Finland, right? Like, he has no particular attachment to anywhere in Canada or the United States. And he fell in love with this place at the same time he's respecting the heck out of his coach. And Sebastian Aho wrote 1 year ago in the Players Tribune about this topic that I'm talking about, and even essentially said, I am going to empty the effort bucket in any way humanly possible until we get a Stanley Cup here with me as one of the players, just like I've read about that Rod Brindamore guy, my coach, doing that back in 2006, where, Brindamore, it's not like they were knocking on the door every year and then they finally broke through. That was a different story 20 years ago. Sebastian Aho has been a part of this 8-year run where they were good and good again and good again and good again and good again, but they were eliminated 3 times in the semifinals. And he wrote that like through heartache and through the vibe of just wanting to pay back the fan base that had supported them through thick and thin, but also he chose to stay here. And just like some free agents choose to sign here, I think other guys have chosen to stay here. A bunch of those dudes, from Jordan Stahl, playoffs MVP, Jacob Slavin, one of the best defensive defensemen, maybe the best in the NHL. Aho is another example. Svechnikov is another example. Jordan Martinook is another example. It's hard to keep, you use 20 guys on a given night in the National Hockey League. And almost half of those 20 guys have been here for the long haul. And that says something about Rod. It says something about how this has become a destination. Again, not for everybody. There are those guys that want to be in Vegas, want to be in New York or LA. Their agents are whispering, oh, you can have a bigger platform in this city or that, or this Canadian city is even crazier about hockey. Everybody has their own way of looking at it. But overwhelmingly, most NHL players like being here, try to stay here. And even some of the guys who have left, they left not because they didn't like it here, but they got huge dollar offers from somewhere else where the Hurricanes just said, we really like that player, but we don't like him at that price. And they make those tough decisions sometimes that way. And but I know personally several guys that would have loved to stay here, but somebody offered them way more, 50% more money than they thought they would get, and they just decided to cash the check of a lifetime. But I know a lot of those same guys were happy to see Rod and his guys win it the other night.
I was going to let somebody else talk, but nobody else jumped on, so I'll say something else.
I was on mute.
The one thing I was thinking about, obviously there was hockey fans from the Northeast that moved down here. You mentioned Wilmington. Obviously, a lot of people from the Northeast in the Triangle that embrace hockey. But one thing that I really think is interesting when you look at how passionate the Hurricanes fan base is and how they tailgate. That ain't something most people do before hockey games. You got NC State fans, you got UNC fans, you got East Carolina fans, you got Duke fans, you got Appalachian State fans, all together in one place cheering for the Hurricanes. Is it a wonder to anybody that that's become one of the best environments in hockey?
Rod Brindamore loves to talk about the topic you just raised, Kyle. He says it exactly that way. And it's actually impressive because Rod makes no bones about the fact that he is an NC State guy.
Yeah, well, I like him a little less now. But
he married an NC State girl. Coach Biedenbaugh is a former NC State assistant coach. So he married into a Wolfpack family. So that's part of it. We all need brownie points with our spouses, right? But he loves to talk about how the Carolina Hurricanes have allowed for that broad umbrella, right?
Yep.
No matter which of those schools you just mentioned or even others you root for, during college sports season, come root together for the Carolina Hurricanes. And, we saw whether it was in the stands or sometimes, the siren sounders.
Yeah.
There were representatives of Duke, Wake Forest, NC State, UNC, ECU, NASCAR. I mean, there was a little bit of everything there. And I've seen it with my own eyes. It's been fabulous to see people who might have a hard time having pleasant conversations during college sports seasons. Just, sometimes tailgate together. By the way, I asked Jordan Martinook this question about how often there is tailgating around the NHL. Like when he goes to the arena for road games X hours before puck drop, what does he see? And he said the combination of most parts of the United States, there is not the college football tailgating culture that we have here. But B, and I had forgotten this, and I haven't been to all 32 NHL arenas, not even close. I've probably been to a third of them. But for the most part, you do not have hockey arenas surrounded by wide open parking lots.
Yeah.
When you go to the Lenovo Center, on every side, of course, it's right next to Carter Finley, you can't run out of parking. When you go to many NHL arenas, man, there's nowhere to go unless you want to tailgate. Like maybe you get a parking spot on the top deck of a 20 deck parking deck or something, the top level. It's not the same. I've seen people who do tailgate in parking decks, but it's just not the same. All Jordan Martinook said was, look, man, when I go to the Canes game, I think he said he goes to the arena like 3:30 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. I might be getting that a little wrong, but he goes, there are already thousands of fans as he's driving into his player's parking spot 3+ hours before the game. Maybe, of course, that ramps up during the playoffs, but that's a sign of that tailgating environment. And I know the players, when they visit some of those tailgates, if they have time, they notice, hey, there's a Duke hat, there's a Carolina hat, there's a State T-shirt, there's a Wake Forest, whatever, there's ECU. And they, especially the guys who follow college sports, they get a big kick out of the fact that everybody can kind of hold hands and cheer for the same team because it's the Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes bringing people together. And I'll tell you this, what you just said about you're not going to run out of parking at the Lenovo Center. I'll tell you what, we came pretty damn close. We came pretty damn close one time.
Yeah,
we had tickets for Luke Combs when he was there a couple years ago, and we got there late. There was a first opening act. Who knows? Ashley McBride was on then Luke. We got there right as Ashley McBride was starting to perform. We probably got the last whatever dirt parking spot there was. I think we walked from Wake Forest.
Yeah.
To you can almost run out of parking at the Lenovo Center, but not quite.
One thing I noticed, there's a media parking area that I've been using for years and years and years, although they moved it. And I'll just say this: during the playoffs, whenever you arrived, it was full. Like there was nowhere to go. They basically force you to park essentially, and you're stealing some fan spot eventually because there were so many media in town. Plus, there were so many trucks. The TV trucks also took up chunks of the usual parking areas. So it was chaotic in a good way. Those pregame concerts and just the pageantry around it really, especially during the playoffs, got bigger and bigger. The only downside is a lot of fans have been priced out. Whether it's $90 parking or whatever it was during it was crazy during the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or, if you wanted a lower level seat for some of those playoff games, it was over $1,000 a ticket in the lower level. So it got expensive. But supply and demand, that happened. That can happen anywhere.
Stevie, tell DG how you got your boss into the game.
Oh, okay. Game two. That Thursday night, I get a text from a lady. I was a high school football coach, and I coached her grandson for a few years. She messaged me about, do you have anybody over 18 that can work an event in Raleigh tonight? And I'm like, are you talking about the hockey game? She said, yeah, I think that's what it is. So I said, yeah, I know one. My boss is like a diehard Hurricanes fan. And so I called him. I said, look, dude, I don't know how legit this is, but she's about to text me some information here about working the Stanley Cup game night. And he's like, are you freaking serious?
Yeah.
So, yeah, she gives me the number, said they're looking for 8 people. Still hadn't told me what they're doing. And so I said, look, you need to call now. As soon as I send you this number, call now. So the next thing I know, about an hour later, he comes running in the store looking for me, hugs me, tells me he loves me. He said, I'm going to the Stanley Cup game tonight, and I'm getting paid to work security.
Wow.
And he ends up doing the pre-show concert, and then
Dan and Shay, I would have asked for more money.
and then he worked security the priority level, the lower level priority seat, and so he was pretty happy, and it ended up pretty good that night. I think that was the overtime game. Carolina won in overtime that night. But while I've got the floor, David, how about the story of Brandon Bussey? I mean, how many times do you think Florida has kicked themselves in the butt this year with that guy? I mean, he steps right in and has an incredible season, and then second Stanley Cup start, shutout, clinches the Stanley Cup. What about that story?
It's unbelievable in a lot of different ways because, number one, he was a 27-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
And I can promise you, when generally speaking, if a guy is maybe 25 years old and hasn't made the NHL yet, he does one of two things. He retires from hockey and enters the business world, or he finds another country to play professional hockey in, because they don't want to be in the minors forever. And usually the dream is gone if you haven't made it by 25, because hockey players are drafted at 17 and 18 years old. So Brandon Bussey stuck it out. He's an American from Long Island, New York. He didn't want to give up on his dream. He played college hockey and was very successful there, but he just couldn't break out of the minor leagues at the pro level. And then, Florida waived him. The NHL rules basically, I mean, that is like being left by the dumpster out back. If you're waived at 27 years old, that's often the end of the road.
Yeah.
Anybody can truly drive by and pick you up. And the Canes, there's a lot of little stories about how the Canes front office made brilliant decisions, either by trade or free agent or waiver acquisitions. Nikolai Ehlers was a high scorer they needed. They signed him in the offseason. Logan Stankoven and Taylor Hall came by trade, not this year, but the previous year, late in the regular season. And they had to give up some guys to get those guys, but obviously it has worked out. And the Bussey acquisition, the 27-year-old rookie, he also started the most games during the regular season for the Canes. And it is not easy to remember. Freddie Anderson started, the first 16 games of the playoffs.
Yep.
That's unusual. During the regular season, it's not always Freddie and then Brandon Bussey, Freddie Anderson, Brandon. It's not quite 1-1-1-1-1, but there's a lot of rotation to keep guys fresh. Well, now you're on the biggest platform of your life, the NHL playoffs, and you go from starting, I think it was 39 games during the regular season, Brandon Bussey, incredible record in those games, like 31 wins in
31 wins, yep.
Yeah. So by the end of the regular season, Freddie had started to play a little better. Bussey didn't play quite as well late in the regular season. So nobody was surprised, I don't think, when Rod Brind'Amour said Freddie is the starter for the playoffs. But nobody was expecting Freddie to start the next 16 games without Brandon Bussey, even getting backup minutes. So he was not only thrown into the fire during the NHL, the final round of the championship series, he was thrown into it after, what is that? That's essentially a month of not seeing actual game time. Yep. And then you're thrown in against the Vegas Golden Knights, who had been peppering Freddie Anderson and putting a lot of goals past him.
4 goals, right?
That's about as tricky a set of circumstances. Maybe his unusually old age for a rookie paid off because he's a real low-key guy. He's very poised. I think he learned a lot from Freddie Anderson about just staying calm under pressure. I mean, Freddie Anderson is of another planet. Like, that guy's heart or voice barely rises whether the last 10 things that happened were great or the last 10 things happened were horrible. Like, you could look at Freddie and not know which is which. And I think Bussey was already that way to a degree. but obviously you get close to the guy that you're sharing the net with in practice and games and otherwise, and you travel together. So, wow. Yeah. If we did a book on the 2026 Carolina Hurricanes, there's a big fat chapter on Freddie Anderson, who fought through the death of his agent, his closest friend in hockey, during this year's playoffs. Imagine losing one of your closest friends to suicide in that case, while in the midst of the greatest postseason of your career. So Freddie has his chapter. Brandon Bussey has his chapter. Whole bunch of chapters on Rod Brind'Amour. Obviously, Jordan Staal is the 37-year-old MVP, the oldest MVP ever in the NHL playoffs. It takes a village to win the Stanley Cup, and all those guys. Again, you dress 20 men on game night. There were at least 20 good stories, and even some of the guys that may not have been on the active roster at the end. Even some of them had some pretty good stories too.
Hey, DG, I wanted to ask you a question too. Not taking anything, let me be very clear on this, not taking anything away from Tom Dundon, okay? Because he made the awesome hire of Rod Brind'Amour. However, there's a guy that I think a lot of, and I believe you know him. I'm not being funny when I say this, but Ronnie Francis, he does not get enough credit for starting to build this team. He was starting to build a team, and it was just one of those things. I think it was wrong place at the wrong time. If he had been, a guy they brought in, but the fact that the Canes had lost, that pretty much put a lot of pressure on him, and then he gets fired or whatever. But I think there was a lot of great moves he made, to the point of, I want you to talk about the great thing about this Canes team. It's not like 06 where we had a couple rental players and a lot of older guys, not taking anything away from them because they're still my heroes. They won the first one, right? But the great thing about this team, if you look at, you were talking about drafting, Aho, you look at a lot of these guys, Svechnikov, they were really, really young. So they're still in their prime. They may be like middle 20s. They're not everybody's 37 like or 36 like Freddie Anderson. I wanted you to talk about that with Ronnie, and I want to give him some love because I really think that he was ahead of his time to build this team.
Well, let's give credit as well to the even more immediate predecessor at general manager. The guy doing it now his name is Eric Tulsky. He's like an Ivy League guy, an analytics guy. He's an unusual cat in an impressive way. But Don Waddell was the guy who left the Canes just a little bit more than a year ago, and he had helped build that foundation.
Yep.
Prior to that, Ron Francis, of course, was around. I'd have to look at the exact years, but when it comes to draft picks, yes, Sebastian Aho was a Carolina Hurricanes draft pick. The best defenseman, Jacob Slavin, was a Carolina Hurricanes draft pick. Andrei Svechnikov, Carolina Hurricanes draft pick. And there are others. But I'd give, it's kind of like Tulsky gets the most credit. But, besides the owner and the coach, the players deserve the most credit. But owner, coach, front office all matter. Eric Tulsky, I think, deserves maybe the most credit among the GMs. Maybe Waddell second, and then you could go into the Wayback Machine for Ron Francis prior to that. And but Tulsky's the guy who thought Taylor Hall would be a good fit for the Carolina Hurricanes. And Taylor Hall, who's in his mid-30s, had the best season of his life, except for the year many years ago that he was actually the NHL MVP. And a lot of folks thought that was just done and in the rearview mirror. But Taylor Hall was one of the Canes' best players during this year's playoffs. Tulsky acquired Logan Stankoven, who led the Canes in goals during this year's playoffs. Logan Stankoven. A guy named Keandre Miller, who was probably the Canes' second best defenseman behind Jacob Slavin. A lot of people thought the Canes overpaid for Keandre Miller. There are New York fans who were tired of Keandre Miller, didn't think he was competitive enough, didn't think he was tough enough, didn't think he translated his size into intimidation frequently enough. Well, the Canes just said, dude, be who you are. Just because you're a big body and the Rangers fans are mad at you for not throwing around as much, if you think you could be more like Jacob Slavin, who's a large man, but he's not picking fights, he's not driving people through the boards. Jacob Slavin is more about efficiency. I am going to block that shot. I am going to check you, but I'm not trying to take anybody's head off. And so Miller leaves a place where they were running him out of town, some fans, because they didn't think he was tough enough, wasn't this enough, that enough. And the Canes just said, hey, man, we think you're a great player, and you don't have to do those other things if you don't think that's what makes you great. And it's little stories like that, whether it's identifying a good fit for your system or even psychologically. K'Andre Miller would tell you that the Canes created a framework that allowed him to be the best hockey player he's ever been in his entire life. Part of that's emotional, man. Part of that's psychological. Part of that's, again, seeing somebody in another system that you believe can be even better in your system. It's not quite brain surgery or rocket science, but it's pretty high level franchise building. And it was obviously an 8-year journey to get to this Stanley Cup title. And they had to get a lot of those decisions right along the way for this to happen.
And we also have a lot of young players too, right, DG, that what's the kid? Of course, I'm live on air, but
yeah,
like 17 years old and he's a player for the Canes.
Who is their youngest? Stankoven's in his early 20s. Jackson Blake is in his early 20s. And I'll tell you, in the broader picture, it is very, very unusual that a Stanley Cup championship team would only have 2 or 3 free agents that matter. In other words, the team you just watched win the Stanley Cup, almost all of them are already signed through next year, and in some cases way into the future. Right. There's Freddie Anderson is at the end of his contract, so they have to figure that out, but he's also an older guy, so we'll see. Alexander Nikishin, one of the defensemen, he's at the end of his contract, but there are very few free agents. So between the youth factor that you're asking about, Dave, and just the stability factor, a lot of times you win the cup and you're like, oh my gosh, 2 or 3 of my best players are free agents. I can't afford to keep all of them. You run into salary cap problems. The Canes have salary cap space.
Yeah.
And not a lot of free agents. It doesn't get any better than that. So that goes to the sustainability idea. Nobody should assume they're just going to start, cranking out Stanley Cups like it's an assembly line. It's just not that easy, even if you are one of the best teams. But the Canes are not going to fall off the face of the earth. The foundation is incredibly firm, and they're going to be a really competitive team, certainly next year. And I think, as long as Rod Brindamore remains the head coach.
Yeah, Dave, I don't know what 17-year-old you're referring. I Googled that, and it says the NHL bylaws require you to be 18.
I'm trying to think of who the youngest guy in the rotation is.
I don't know who you're thinking of, but there's a 17-year-old on the team. There's not supposed to be.
Yeah. But there are a couple guys right around 20 and 21.
Isn't this kind of rare because I don't know what they call it in hockey, like the farm league team, I guess the next step up to the big leagues. Were they playing in the championship game also this weekend? So there's a lot of future stars coming up too. Cap space there. You got your guys signed, a lot of your guys signed, and then you've got guys that come up from that for the future, young guys coming up. So this may be a team that we see, and maybe not winning Stanley Cups every year, but are going to be in contention for it for a while.
I think you're right. That goes to the sturdy foundation. That paints the rest of the picture. You can't have a more sturdy foundation than a head coach you love, who's only in his mid-50s. All those guys under contract into the future, some of them, again, like 6-7 years into the future. The nucleus is already signed. Those free agents, probably the trickiest one, maybe Nikishin. He's a restricted free agent, which means it's a little easier to keep him if you want to. And that farm system, there's a couple guys that weren't even on the playoff team, but helped the Canes during the regular season. Right. Nystrom was one of the defensemen who fits that description, young, helping the farm club right now. And the nice thing about those guys is they're not big salary cap hits. You need to pay your veteran players. They're the ones, Sebastian Aho makes $9 million a year or so.
Wow.
Andrei Svechnikov is up there. Nick Ehlers is up there. You got to pay your veteran players. That's how it works in all those professional sports. So you definitely need to sprinkle some younger, less expensive guys in to kind of have the best of both worlds. And and not exceed the salary cap. So again, Tom Dundon will spend close to the salary cap if he needs to, but I think he's set himself up for a situation where, they could actually add a high-priced free agent after the Stanley Cup to give them, one more thing to be excited about going into next year.
Yeah, could you imagine that another weapon, a big name coming in after they just won the Cup?
Crazy.
When you talk about $9 million a year, it makes me think of Johnny Stats Robertson. And JR, did you have some stats that you wanted to hit DG with in regards to the Carolina Hurricanes?
I don't know what I really know. Dave and I were talking off air, but it had nothing to really do with the Hurricanes. And I'm enjoying this conversation because I'm learning stuff, so I don't want to waste anybody's time.
We're paying JR $9 million a year. I want my contract redone.
By the way, one of the funny things about how the Canes are built is, for example, Vegas has 2 guys that make more than $10 million a year.
Wow.
The Canes had nobody who fit that description. Obviously, Aho's close at 9, whatever he is, but they do it. I think they occasionally get a little bit of a hometown discount for the guys who re-signed to stay because they want to stay. If they like their coach, they think they have a chance to win. Their wife or girlfriend is happy because they like the Raleigh area, and this other team offers a little bit more. Your agent might be telling you to take that little bit more, but a lot of guys will take a little bit less on the, grass is not always greener type theory. And Jacob Slavin's an elite defenseman. He's signed way into the future at kind of a below market deal. And there's several other examples of that. So the Canes are playing this game really, really well. You never know with injuries and other things beyond your control. That can derail anything. In fact, in hockey, sometimes the teams like the Florida Panthers won 2 straight Stanley Cups and didn't even make the playoffs this year.
Right.
Some people believe part of that is because whereas the teams that lose all the time are only playing 82 games, you're playing 100+ games if you make the play, if you make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and that makes your offseason shorter. Last thing I want to do is think negatively about the future, but there can be some wear and tear if you make the playoffs every single year the way the Canes do, and if you make long runs many of those years the way the Canes have. But all things considered, that's about as good a problem to have if you have to have
that's not a bad problem to have right there.
No. Hey, one observation I did have, just as someone looking on, is that they were 16-3 in the playoffs. What is anybody gone unblemished in the playoffs?
No, here's the stat. So they changed the playoff format 40 years ago. So there's been 40 years of this playoff format where basically you have to win 4 straight 7-game series. The previous format, the earlier rounds were a little bit shorter. So in 1987, they basically made every series best of 7. So you have to win 16 games to win the cup. In that 40-year period, what the Carolina Hurricanes just did, 16 wins and only 3 losses, is the best record in that 40-year history of the NHL.
Wow.
And that's just crazy. They were a lot better than Ottawa, their first opponent. I thought they were a lot better than the Philadelphia Flyers, their second opponent. But 16-3 is crazy, guys. The sport of hockey, underdogs beat favorites all the time in hockey. We don't in the NBA, we don't often see the 8 seeds beat the 1 seeds. That's pretty rare, right? In college basketball, we remember 16 seeds beating 1 seeds only because there are so few examples of it. In hockey, underdogs beat favorites all the time. Mm-hmm. And that even if the better team might win the series, it might be 4-2 or 4-3 sometimes. So 16-3. The numbers speak for themselves, right? There's probably some naysayer out there saying, the Canes didn't have the hardest road to the Stanley Cup this year. Look, there's 32 teams in the NHL. 16 of them didn't even make it.
That's
right. Like you play who they tell
play
you
who they put you up against. You can't help that.
Another observation,
the only good luck the Canes got, to be honest, is that the Colorado Avalanche, who had the best record in the NHL during the regular season, they got eliminated by Vegas in the Western Conference Finals. So
did that surprise you how easy Vegas did that to Colorado? Because I was thinking Colorado was going to be Colorado and Carolina in the finals.
A whole lot of people agreed with that guess, including the Vegas odds makers. And I do think Colorado got a little banged up at the end. The Canes will tell you that whereas guys have nicks and scratches and imperfections and aches and pains, generally speaking, everybody they needed to be available was available.
Right.
And there are other Canes teams that got eliminated in the playoffs where one or two very important players were unavailable.
Right.
And that happened to Colorado this year. Other than Freddie Anderson getting hit in the head in that championship series and then, kind of disappearing entirely where he wasn't even the backup when Brandon Bussey kind of carried the trophy home. That was the only major personnel issue that Rod Brindamore had to deal with. Nikishin got hurt, maybe missed a couple games early in the playoffs, but by hockey standards, the Canes stayed very healthy. And, that's not something you can assume every year. And it's something that sometimes knocks the favorites down a few pegs and makes them a lot more beatable. And that's at least one reason that Vegas was able to dominate Colorado the way they did.
Hey, Dave, can I take the bottom square and introduce former ECU linebacker, the one and only. And he ain't here to talk Hurricanes. He's here to talk the Knicks, which we'll get to soon enough. Matt, I love the Knicks because I'm from New Jersey. Semenza.
The Balsam Hill GM.
The GM of Balsam Hill.
Gentlemen, what's going on, fellas?
Howdy.
Thanks for the nice introduction, guys. David, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on the Knicks victory. I know that's a long time coming.
I was 3 minutes old.
I'll tell you what, guys. I just wanted to chime in for a few minutes tonight. It's my son's 17th birthday, so I'm have a bunch of things going on. But thank you. But I had to take a few minutes. I wanted to get David's thoughts too on the Knicks because, not to hijack the show here. You're talking about hockey, but listen, guys.
Might as well. It took you 53 years to get here.
It
took you my lifetime to get here, man.
I was born in 76. I became a Knicks fan in 1986 when they drafted Patrick Ewing out of Georgetown. I was kind of drawn in because New York City was electric when they drafted Patrick, and everybody saw at least 2 championships in the future. Little did we know at that point that we were going to have to battle Michael Jordan every year and Reggie Miller as well. But we had some great Knicks teams. Unfortunately, Michael Jordan had other plans. I was there for all of it. I was there for the Jordan years. I was there for Reggie Miller. I was there for Spike Lee, and you guys will probably get a kick out of this, but I've never liked Spike Lee. I've never forgiven him since the 95 series against the Pacers when he instigated Reggie Miller and Reggie scored however many points in about 17 seconds.
10 points in about 13 seconds.
Matt, I am genuinely surprised to hear you don't like Spike Lee. I mean, I'm shocked.
Yeah, I bet you are, Kyle. I don't get into any of the stuff with the Knicks, like the celebrity row. I'm not into Ben Stiller up front, Timothy Chalamet, whoever that is. I don't want Taylor Swift. I don't want any of them there. I want the diehards. I don't get into any of that stuff because most of them are just bandwagon hoppers.
What about Donald? What about Matt? He came to a game.
Trump's been a fan since the early 80s, so he can go if he wants.
That was Spike Lee.
Honestly, I thought, a little bit, anytime you have to bring in the Secret Service guys, and that was a lot. That was a big production to have him there.
Well, wait a minute
for that game.
How many presidents over the years have gone to games like this though? It's happened many times before. Am I wrong?
I'm not. I don't think it's happened very often.
Well,
it's funny. It turned out to be the only game the Knicks lost in the finals.
Oh yeah, they were all blaming Trump for it too.
Exactly. So no doubt about that. But I'll tell you what, guys, Jalen Brunson, I've been saying it for the last 4 years. He is a top 10 player in the world. He's virtually unguardable. I've never seen any player, and this might surprise you and it might sound like a stretch, but I've never seen a player in the NBA have more in his arsenal, an ability to score the ball. He can do everything. He can shoot the three. He can post you up. See very often. He is a very unique player. He stepped up when they needed him to. Obviously, 45 points in that last game to push them over the edge. But he is a very underrated player. Conversely, guys, I think the league did, and I'd love to hear David's thoughts, but the league did everything possible to prop up Victor Wembanyama. You cannot go within 3 feet of him defensively without the refs blowing a whistle. I'm going to say, I thought he was a little dirty in the series as well. So I thought that there was a clear bias towards the Spurs in that series. What are your guys, David? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, my first reaction to the whole story is, and as somebody who grew up in Philadelphia, we're trained to not like things New York, right? Like there's a lot of rivalry there. As it turned out, I married a New York girl, so clearly I have broken these rules many, many times. But I can tell you candidly that as somebody who has experienced, in my case, the Philadelphia Eagles had never won a Super Bowl. So I grew up in a world where my uncles and older relatives would talk about the Eagles winning the NFL championship, like long before I was even born, before they called it the Super Bowl. That's how long ago it was. So as a guy who grew up an Eagles fan, and we had to wait literally a half century plus to finally break through for the first Super Bowl, I saw adult men cry. People who had spent their entire life buying season tickets, going to games, calling into sports radio, tailgating outside the stadium, and then they finally saw it happen. So I agree with your assessment earlier. Die-hard fans, even if you dislike New York, you don't like the Knicks, whatever, there's a whole lot of genuine die-hard New York Knicks fans that finally got their day in the sun, and I cheer for that. In fact, my daughter, Avery, moved to New York City 3 months ago, and I was joking with her. You got to realize that she was really enjoying the watch parties and having fun and being a part of the celebration. And I was like, Ave, you got to realize you're surrounded by people who've been at this for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. You've been at it for 3 months. I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate bandwagon fan. But I agree with your assessment of Jalen Brunson, his leadership, his clutch play. There's a crazy stat that I don't have in front of me that one of you guys might remember it. But the Spurs, in terms of clock time, held the lead in that series.
72% of the time.
72%. That's just crazy. That just does not happen very often. So that's a tribute to the Knicks' mental toughness, execution, ability to come up big when it matters most, led by Jalen Brunson. And then a lot of my Philly friends love the angle where it was 3 former Villanova guys.
Oh, yeah.
That, remember, helped Villanova to a national championship and then helped the Knicks to the world title.
Did you guys see Did you guys see Charles Barkley after one of the games? That's the most entertaining. I'm sorry, I'm not much of an NBA guy, but I love Barkley and Kenny Smith, Ernie, and Shaq are the most entertaining thing about
funny.
the NBA. Barkley was up there one night saying, how in the world did Villanova not win but 2 national championships with those 3 guys? He said, Jay Wright must have been a terrible coach. And Ernie comes up and says, well, guess who's joining us live via satellite right now? Jay Wright. And Barkley's face, you don't see Barkley get rattled too much, but Barkley's face was like, oh my God, I didn't know we were doing that.
Barkley could have played it off like he said it on purpose, like he was messing with
you. But he couldn't play it off then. I mean, that really shocked Barkley.
I'm going to tell you something. We had a chance my son had a field trip, and we went up to New York, and Matt and Chase, his birthday boy, and Alexander, we went to Madison Square Garden. That is by far, I've told Matt for years, I've known him for probably 5 or 6 years, and I've said on the show, the biggest enigma as far as not college, pro basketball with NBA is the Knicks. They have the number one market. They have guys on the playground, the street ball legends or whatever they're called, that are probably as good or better than a lot of the NBA players. And I told Matt, I said, it makes no sense that you've had to wait all these years. So Alex and I went and we were playing the Hornets. I mean, the Hornets were playing the Knicks. And I told Matt, I said, the good news is the Hornets will win the first half. And then the third quarter on, it'll be all Knicks. And sure enough, Matt, you can tell them it was that way. Early December of 24. The one thing that we talked about the most is how much we loved Brunson. He was just like spectacular. It was even, I think sporting events are even better in person, although I can't afford all the tickets as we've talked about. But that was so magical that my son, Alex, and I have been pulling hard for the Knicks for Matt and all the Knicks fans that have been enduring this. One thing I want to talk about really quick, DG, on a side note, and I know we're at an hour here, is the droughts in professional sports. You talked about that on your show. The Cleveland Guardians, my mom was born in 1947. That's the last time the Guardians have won anything. So is that the longest, off the top of my head? I was talking to a coworker who's a Knicks fan. Is that the longest drought in professional? That, or maybe the Browns have been a long time. They're way up there too. They've never won a Super Bowl.
I know there's a handful of franchises that have 50+ year droughts, and obviously your example is much bigger. I can't think of anybody in the four major sports that would be longer than the late 1940s.
Yeah.
There are some franchises that have never won the title in their sport, but not all of them have been around since the 1940s.
Right.
I know the Cardinals in the NFL have a really long drought.
That's right. They were St. Louis when we were growing up.
And they've never won the Super Bowl, but even if you count the NFL championship prior to the Super Bowl, they go way back.
Did the Lions ever win an NFL championship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. Okay.
Packers, the Lions,
but not a Super Bowl.
Browns, but they have not won a Super Bowl. The Packers have, but not the Browns and the Lions. I do know that.
Guys, it's the thing about these teams winning, right? It's everything has to come together at the right time, and you have to stay injury free, obviously, but you have to be able to do everything right. You have to be able to draft right. You have to be able to make the right moves in the offseason. You have to be able to handle your salary cap, and sometimes it's just a matter of timing. And you look at the Knicks this year. This is a franchise that's tried everything under the owner James Dolan. I mean, we brought in Isaiah Thomas, we brought in Larry Brown, we brought in Phil Jackson. We've tried everything. I mean, we literally have tried everything, and what it took was Leon Rose. Guys, it took Leon Rose to come in, and he brings in Jalen Brunson. He obviously then makes a move very off the radar at the time, but he brought in Josh Hart from Portland, which was an enormous move. He actually traded Cam Reddish, and part of that deal was to bring Josh Hart back to New York, and then obviously gave up a ton of picks for Mikal Bridges, and then they bring in Karl Anthony Towns, and Leon Rose comes out of this looking like a genius because he's the one guy that could turn it around. But it took a lot. It took some genius moves. It also took this team staying healthy. But you had guys that bought into the system. Like Karl Anthony Towns earlier in his career, he had to score. He had to be a 25 point per game, per night guy. And he bought into the system. He really embraced that role of the second scorer, the second guy. And they were able to pull it off, man. And you have the three Villanova guys, obviously. It was a special run. One that I'll never
What about
forget.
taking the chance? What was the guy's name that did the tip in on the 29-point comeback?
Anunoby.
Yeah. What about taking the chance on him when Toronto got rid of him because they figured he was, he was dead. He was done. And that worked out. They took a lot of chances on people.
They did, and everything worked. I mean, talk about a great two-way player. I mean, OG Anunoby, he plays defense every night. He's really improved his perimeter shooting, over the years, which has helped. But, I'll shut up after I make this point. But if you look at that play in Game 4 where the Knicks came back down from 29, Brunson got the ball at the top of the key, and San Antonio doubled Brunson.
Yeah.
So OG was on the wing. He was out like hovering on the 3-point line, and nobody was able to block him out. So he just crashed to the basket. Nobody around him. He was able to tip that ball in, but it was the double team of Brunson that allowed him to make that play.
Matt, I had a question for you. Did you beat up any Spurs fans?
I did not, and I got to tell you, man. Like, and I know
That was embarrassing.
around Kyle, but I was so embarrassed for those Knick fans that, it really is like a sign of the times where just enjoy your victory, man. Like,
that's ridiculous.
Why do these people go out? I'll never understand. They're looting, they're rioting, they're lighting school buses on fire.
That poor guy in his cab. That poor guy in his cab.
Fire to the cab, right?
Yeah. And attacking Spurs fans. There was one Spurs fan. I don't know if you saw the video of that, Matt. Big old boy. He beat the shit out of several Knicks fans.
He was taking off the whole pack of Knicks fans, and he did his. Let's just say his jersey was not ripped off him.
No, that dude was taking the fight to him.
I'll say this. One of the most, and how you hear stories through social media and all that, but apparently this was true. I heard it from somebody else today. How about Wemby, the hotel, and a Knicks fan comes up there and tells him, "Good luck, big man," and he has the guy kicked out of the hotel.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I think that was before the eggs got thrown at him too, so that may have been justified for the eggs to get thrown at him.
Well, I'll tell you this, PG. He has a lot of learning to do because
a lot of growing up to do.
Yes, he does. Because if you're going to be on that level of not only the NBA platform, if you will, but the fact that he's one of the best players in the whole NBA, you gotta be Magic and Bird. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be Dr. J. You can't be just some random dude that is good enough to play basketball. He has to know what level he's on, and apparently he does it. So. But he talked about the fact that he's learned a lot, so I hope we'll see.
He ain't learned nothing. I'm sorry. I like the kid. And I was watching him. I don't watch NBA much, but I was watching him during the season. I was like, this kid's got a good head on his shoulder. But it's almost like during the playoffs, and I may be totally off on this, he started to believe a little too much of his press too quick. It's gone to his head, and he, just like with, would he even been playing in a Game 7 with that? The NBA would have looked at that when Brunson took the 3 and he kind of put his foot up under that. That's a crappy move right there.
Yeah, that was.
And then the thing he said at the press conference to the press, not shaking. And I mean, I know a lot of people say the not shaking hand deal is not a big deal. It is to me. As a coach and a player, I was always taught, that's disrespectful to not go and shake hands with the opponent after the game. I don't care if you're high school, JV, pro. You shake their hands when they beat. You show respect to those people when you beat. Ask Isaiah Thomas how that's worked out for him over the years. But
that's a great point, Stevie.
That is just so disrespectful. And he's not there. He's not big enough yet to justify him trying to do some of this stuff. I mean, what is this, his second year?
Yeah, so third.
Second or third. He's still not there yet. He doesn't have that ability. I mean, he has really disappointed me how he's acted in the playoffs.
I think it's good for sports. I think sports needs heels. I think the world needs heels. Not real heels.
But the world needs now is heels, sweet heels.
You don't need people killing people. You don't need real bad guys. But I do think there's a place in sports and there's a place in life for those bad guys, those heels, those people that get booed. And if Wemby can keep it in check, he can be the next great sports heel.
DG,
he's well on his way.
Yeah, DG, I want to have a couple rapid fire questions for you because we're way over time with you. try to keep it to an hour with DG.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Hey, I'm going to sign off, guys. Hey, David, thank you for letting me chime in here. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
I have to go celebrate my son's birthday. But hey, David, I also have a daughter named Avery, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And I have a car alarm.
Enjoy
I'll
that birthday
talk to you guys
party.
later. Have a good night.
See you.
Matt, we'll see you in August to start previewing football.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I'll read the next picture there.
It's Jesus Christ, man.
Let the whole neighborhood know you're there.
Next party continues.
All right, we'll get that off.
Jesus Christ.
DG,
Give us that genuine New York, Connecticut experience there with the car.
Yep, exactly.
Yep, exactly. We had to do that for a true Knicks fashion. DG, I had a question for you regarding MLB in Raleigh. I want to talk to you about that. I know we're over time, but a few quick questions. What do you know about that? I know that over the last week, we have now a second billionaire.
Yeah.
Not only Tom Dundon. I think with the Canes, we were talking about the Canes earlier. With the Canes and people going all the way back to your time when you first got here, and ESPN, we were trying to get an NFL franchise, and they're playing in Charlotte, different places. And we had fans showing up, and we're buying tickets, and they're like, wow. And I remember Joe Theismann being on the ESPN podcast going, these people are nuts down here. They love any kind of ball. And I was thinking about that today with the very fact of, with the Canes, that's got to help get a franchise, knowing that I bet if you put a waiting list right now, you would have thousands of people sign up. Not only the euphoria of the Canes, but also the fact that we could have an MLB team. I really think there's a lot of things heading in the right direction for us finally.
Yeah, none of this is in the near future, right? Baseball's not going to expand in the 2020s, for example. So most likely it'd be the early 2030s, and everybody's just kind of trying to jockey for position. But one thing we know about expansion is when Major League Soccer expanded and David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, steps forward as a man worth $15 billion and somebody who already had a ready push-button stadium, right? Oh, they're just going to play in Bank of America Stadium, right? Well, if you've got a deep-pocketed owner and a ready-made stadium, you went from the middle of the pack to the top of the pile. And the Carolina Hurricanes owner, Tom Dundon, is a deep-pocketed billionaire who now has another deep-pocketed billionaire kind of on his team. That's not the only thing Major League Baseball is going to look for, but it does put the city of Raleigh ahead of most of their competitors. And Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, has said, in all likelihood, one of the two expansion teams is going to be on the East Coast and one is going to be somewhere out west. So you've got a bunch of cities in the eastern United States competing for that one spot. When the time comes, the MLB is going to want to see people buying season, ticket the ticket licenses. They're going to want to see governmental support in writing. They're going to want to see, obviously, the ongoing, continuing demographic trends that are really favorable for the triangle. I mean, this is when you call it the triangle, it's one thing to look at the population of Raleigh. That number itself is not enormous, but when you look at those within a 90-minute drive of a downtown Raleigh stadium, that's an enormous mega million number. In fact, it's a larger number than some existing MLB franchises have. Right. So we'll see, but I think it is a great, 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 great sign that Tom Dundon wants Major League Baseball in Raleigh, and that they're already going through the conversations with government, with community leaders, with corporate sponsors, so that when the time comes, years from now, and MLB says, hey, it's now on our front burner, not our back burner, Raleigh believes it has as good a chance as anybody else in the eastern United States to get that franchise.
DG, when you talk about governmental involvement, when stadiums are being built, is that normally a county tax?
You could you could ask for state money. You could ask for city money. You could ask for, there's a lot of people who've written, PhD level studies on.
I say any county within 100 miles of Raleigh, I'd be in favor of participating in that tax. You know what? Greene County, I pay, Lenore County, Wayne County, this area, but technically Greene. I pay enough property taxes and get absolutely nothing in return for it. I wouldn't mind paying another couple percent, maybe 1, 2, 3% property tax increase to get a Major League Baseball team. I'm volunteering right now.
It's always easiest to get money from the county where the stadium is going to be, because it's much easier to show that they're going to have tourists and hotels taxes and all the other revenue taxes that kind of fill the coffers after that money has been, either tax breaks or flat out, money to help build a stadium or whatever. It gets a little more complicated the farther away you get from wherever the stadium and the franchise is going to be located. But I think the group is optimistic. And let's face it, guys, our state is only missing that. I mean, we have the NFL, we have the NBA, we have the NHL, we have NASCAR. We sometimes get major golf championships. We got the Big Rock fishing tournaments now giving away $9 million in prize money out at Morehead City. We've got minor league baseball everywhere, but no Major League Baseball. We have pro tennis events in the state at the highest level, pro golf events at the highest level. We have virtually everything. And MLB is the only sort of hole in the puzzle, so to speak. And I think we have a good chance of filling it here in the next decade.
Well, David, you actually are on many, many programs. We know that you have your own program, but you're a guest. Like, how many programs do you go on? In the far left square, you have 2 town commissioners. Mine would definitely be, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way in the world, and I love you, Kyle, and everybody knows how much I love the Canes. I have wanted a baseball team since I was 7 years, like 1980.
Yeah.
Okay. But tell the people of Williamston and Martin County we are an hour and a half.
I'll tell them.
Kyle would tell anybody.
Yeah. Stevie, how well would that go in Alaska? It's not Alaska.
Good Lord, dude. Alaska
I'll tell you what, you may be surprised, particularly for Major League Baseball, because a lot of people that always are going to say no for stuff like that are older people. And a lot of older people love baseball. And it gives you something to do. That's what I say. You give me a Major League Baseball team. I'm really getting into this hockey thing. But you put a Major League Baseball team in Raleigh, even if they're bad, I'll go watch them play the Cubs. I'll go watch them play the Braves. I'll go, so I'm saying I'll pay the, a couple percent sales tax, or there you go. You could increase the state sales tax. I thought of that by accident. There you go. But there's different ways to do this. I'd happily pay a couple of percentage of tax more to have a Major League Baseball team in Raleigh to drive and go to.
Oh, we were talking pre-show. You're doing a great job. I'll say this on the air, by the way. You're doing a great job on Facebook, and we're working really hard on increasing our presence on.
Everything that gets posted on Facebook gets posted on X. Our X account just doesn't do as well because it got neglected for years.
X is becoming dead.
Yeah, guess what? You put that up as a poll. Put that up as content, and let's see what our audience.
Well, we cover East Carolina, but I guess I could do it. But
yeah.
Well, you Dave, you may be surprised because again, our fan base is East Carolina skewed, but it's also sports skewed. So it might actually work out pretty well on that poll.
Guys, breaking news. Brendan Sorsby has entered the NFL supplemental draft.
I just saw that.
Yeah. Hey, DG, I did want to ask one thing that we've been talking about. You're the lawyer here, but we're very upset about potentially where North Carolina and North Carolina State is jockeying for the pie as far as the gambling money. They want $25 million each, and everybody else gets scraps. That are, of course, state-supported schools. Just want to get your feeling on that sort of thing. And is there a way that we can all come together and say divide it equally? Because
it needs to be divided equally amongst all FBS programs.
$12 million a year for East Carolina is a huge number.
Yeah, that's more likely to be a legislative issue than a court system issue.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the state legislature has a lot of latitude about how it doles things out. Now, occasionally it tries to do something, it gets sued, and it loses. But they have a lot of autonomy. And usually what voters are told is, you don't like how this person voted on this issue that's important to you, vote them out. That's the solution. But I can't think of a direct legal route that, App State and ECU would have.
In Charlotte,
our state legislature makes all sorts of decisions about all sorts of money that gets redirected to all sorts of universities. It's so to say that this sports topic is the one where, what you're doing is illegal. That's going to be a difficult, I think, legal argument to win. I could be forgetting something. But I can tell you that nationwide, a whole lot of people are watching the Sorsby case, because that has people's hair on fire.
Yeah, it does.
If the NCAA can't suspend or keep off the field the guy who repeatedly bet on games over an extended period.
But what I want to know is, and I'm sorry, David, I didn't mean to cut you off about Sorsby, but we were, on the topic of that money being split. How can state legislation rationalize or legitimize, or whatever word you want to use, giving Carolina and NC State a larger percentage than other FBS programs? The Power Four is a made-up thing. It's not real. It doesn't exist. They have autonomy. It's not a real thing. It's a made-up media term. So you're either FBS or you're not. And there's more gambling on football than there is basketball. If you're going to get into all the Division I basketball schools, that would be divided up by so damn many it wouldn't even be worth it. But there is 5 Division I state-funded five Division I state-funded FBS football programs in the state, and I want to know
private.
Well, they don't matter in this case. But I want to know how can state legislation rationalize giving NC State and Carolina more? Hell, in my mind, because they get more revenue already from their conference, East Carolina, App State, and Charlotte should be subsidized more so we can be more competitive with them if we want what's best for the state.
Yeah, I mean, nobody would argue that Elizabeth City State, which is, an NCAA institution, would win an argument saying they deserve to get as much as, UNC, which has been around since the 1700s or whatever. So it's just I think it's a logical argument does not always make a winning legal argument. And really you have to lobby your legislatures with your logical arguments. Because I don't think you're going to win a legal argument on this topic.
East Carolina has, I don't know this to be fact, but at one time, if we didn't have the most living alumni in North Carolina, we were top 2 or 3. So at what point does that come into play? Who the hell are the people betting? It's people that have attended major universities for the most part that have disposable income. So what about all the East Carolina people living in the state that are spending their money? You got an enrollment of around 30,000. I don't know. I'm going to get pissed off about this and just get on a rant. It's just, I swear to God, if that money is not divided equally amongst the 5 FBS programs, and quite frankly, I'd be okay with Charlotte getting less because they just started up a couple years ago. But let's be fair, the 5 FBS programs, that money's not divided equally. I'm gonna lose my ever loving mind. That'll be my new. People like to hear me rant. That'll be my new rant. That'll be my weekly rant.
Can we have like a protest at the General Assembly? I mean, and have Kyle be our spokesperson.
We can do it. I'll do it. I'll gladly.
Don't dare him. Don't dare him.
First Amendment, man.
Dog dare you.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Hey, DG, I did want to. I know the guys. I'm maybe the only one up here that loves the World Cup. I did want to get your take on that because it is like one of the hot topics, and I was blown away by the first game. I thought we would win. I just didn't think we would win in dominating fashion. And this is a DG story right here. What's the kid that had the 2 goals?
Balogun?
Balogun, yeah. Flo Balogun. So the fact that his mother, this is a great story, guys. You're going to love this. His mother couldn't get on a plane and was stuck in, I think, was it Brooklyn, or it was definitely one of the boroughs in New York City. She has her son in the United States, which makes him an American citizen. And because of that, he chose to play with our guys, and he's an American citizen, and he scores 2 goals. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I was just really happy with the outcome. The speed, the athleticism seems to be the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun that we're hosting too. I mean, this is one of the world's biggest events. As much as we love American football, and it is growing internationally, the NFL, there are parts of the world that don't know much or care much about the National Football League. The World Cup is truly global. It's kind of like the Olympics, every 4 years, and just about every country at least has a chance to participate, although in this case, you got to earn your way in. And it's cool that we, along with Canada and Mexico, get to host this time people from truly all over the world. And there was a result today or yesterday where a country that I didn't even know existed tied Spain, which is one of the 2 or 3 best soccer playing countries in the world. And that's fun. That's crazy. That's unpredictable. And the Americans getting off to that great start with a 4-1 victory, that's maybe the best opening World Cup game our country has ever played. Exactly. And it's great. Soccer's a funny thing. Our nation has gotten used to being one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, at a whole lot of things, right? The dream team in men's basketball, international soccer, on the women's side, it's Team USA #1. In men's soccer, it's rare that we're in the top 10 in the world.
We're ranked 17th, right?
And this group is at least in the top 20, and it is a capable group. It's, there's probably a half a dozen teams that are a cut above everybody else, but in soccer, underdogs win. It's already happened in this year's World Cup. So I think to consider this a success, it's the first time we've ever had this larger World Cup. You not only have to get out of the group stage, you got to win your way. Well, let's say into the Sweet 16 at least, to call it a success. I don't think anybody's expecting the USA to beat France head-to-head or one of the other super heavyweights. But, yeah, on your home turf, they have enough talent to get out of group stage and maybe do some damage in the knockout stage. And as the father of 2 soccer-playing kids, I can tell you my whole family is happy that event is here and excited to root for the red, white, and blue.
Yeah, I could care less. But what I do enjoy is getting on TikTok and seeing all the foreigners here. Foreigners just sounds racist, even when you don't mean it racist. Seeing all the people from other countries here and seeing them realize things about America they didn't know, like how big it is, how hot it is. A lot of people are just amazed by the heat. Or seeing them go to American restaurants and the portion sizes and seeing them react negatively or positively. And their reaction to Mexican food is one of my favorites. They're like, this is chips and salsa. We didn't order this. And, that kind of stuff is fun to me, seeing people reactions to America. And most of it's positive more than negative, besides the heat, which I think is hysterical that they didn't realize it was that hot here. But I am enjoying that aspect of it. I know I saw that some Scots had taken over. They were in Boston, had taken over a Red Sox game. I have an affinity for Scots and Irish. It's my bloodline, and I think personality-wise, if you can't tell I got Scott in me, then I don't know what to tell you. But
where's the kilt? Where's the kilt?
I do like plaid skirts, but I've enjoyed that, but I can't get into soccer. It just ain't my thing. But I do enjoy seeing people enjoying our country and seeing people support their teams.
Well, I'll tell you what.
How about Jameis Winston helping the Japanese fans clean up behind each other? Jameis Winston comes out there and helps them clean up.
Johnny, talk about. I want to.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, Kyle, I'm with you. Soccer. No, I'm going to pass on that almost every time. I mean, when someone says, "Hey, did you see that game?" I'll say, "Let me guess. The score was 1-0." Was that what the score? So because it's just not enough action for me. But I went to Lisa and I went out to a show on Saturday night, and we went to a.
Did you go?
We went to see. I'll talk about that later. We went to a Mediterranean place on 5th Street. Used to be King Street Deli. I'm not sure what it's called now. And it's owned by some Moroccan gentlemen. And it happened that Morocco was playing Brazil on the TV. And I'm telling you, man, their enthusiasm just energized both of us who aren't really soccer fans. And we stayed longer than we probably should have. just to see the end of this game and to celebrate with them. Although, it ended up being a 1-1 tie, but I mean, it was Brazil. So I guess that's a moral victory, but it was just really, really cool to see these people just living and dying by every pass, every kick. I enjoyed it.
The very first time Brazil has not won their opener in the group stage of the World Cup. Think about that. I know it was a tie, and it was definitely not a loss. However, Morocco and Brazil was the best match, and I'm not the soccer aficionado, probably the most on this screen. But I did know that was the best match. I watched that, and Johnny, we were group texting, and I was happy to see that. I'm telling you guys, in 1990, I'll tell this story really quick. I was an exchange student in Germany. Germany was playing the World Cup in Italy. When that country won the World Cup, I have never, maybe the Stanley Cup in Raleigh the first time, because unfortunately I was out ticketed price-wise for that. But that was the reason why that was the seed that planted me to show me what the World Cup was really like.
Hey, the bottom line, Dave, is that just as football long ago became the most popular sport in the United States, in most of the world, soccer is the answer to that question. So when you see that passion, whether it's, the Moroccan folks, Morocco happens to have a top 10 men's soccer program right now. So, Dave, you may have more expertise than you thought, because Brazil against Morocco was actually the premier match in the first round. So, and it was a high level match. But yeah, people live and die with this stuff the way we see in college sports sometimes in the United States, or the NFL, or Caniacs with hockey. That's the number one answer in the world, soccer. And I don't know how many countries would list it number one, but that's I would argue that it's probably the number one sport in more countries than any other sport would get that kind of support around the whole world.
No doubt. I just don't care about it.
Yeah. I agree, but I'm going to end my story. No, Alan's there. I'm going to end my story by saying that when we left, I felt like we made new friends, and I'm definitely going back there just because they were so appreciative that Lisa and I were rooting for Morocco. That, I mean, they were sincerely, hugging us.
They gave you a free meal, didn't they, JR?
They didn't give a free meal, but they did throw a few extras in, Kyle. I'm not going to lie about that.
There you go.
Oh,
I was saying,
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna just start going to different kind of restaurants when the teams play.
yeah.
The problem is I would root for the wrong team. That would be my luck. So
I was going to say, I wonder how much it cost the World Cup to lease Elvis's version of the Impossible Dream.
Oh yeah, on the first
use it as a theme song in all those commercials.
Oh.
I noticed, is that a Stanley Cup thing, or is that a Hurricanes thing? Freebird. I noticed that being played quite a bit.
I don't think it's a Canes thing.
Because the Stanley Cup thing. Okay. Yeah, they used that a lot on ABC this year during advertisements and stuff. I don't know if I was the only one that noticed that. They used Freebird quite a bit, and I just thought it was very appropriate for the Canes being a Southern team. So I noticed it. If nobody else noticed that?
I guess I did. I noticed it now that you bring it up. I hadn't thought about it much prior to that.
Yeah, it kind of fits. So
You hear Freebird at so many sporting events, I guess.
all right, DG, I know we're over an hour and a half. I appreciate your patience, and thank you again for the short notice coming on. My superstition of the Carolina Hurricanes. I thought about you on Thursday last week, and I was like, if they lose, I'm gonna be mad at myself. But thank you for coming on, and tell everybody about your show content, where everybody can find it, and we'll have you back on again preseason before ACC football and football in general.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's always good to be with y'all. The number one thing to remember with the North Carolina Sports Network is probably the website, which is ncsportsnetwork.com. And there are links at the website. Our YouTube channel now has almost 75,000 subscribers.
Crazy.
So we're really excited about that. We cover the basketball transfer portal, the football transfer portal. We'll cover next week's NBA draft. We're covering, the Tar Heels at the College World Series and other college baseball. a little bit of everything. The state of North Carolina, a lot of Atlantic Coast Conference stuff, given my background, but also, the Panthers when they're doing well, the Hornets when they're doing well, and we have a whole lot. My articles, and I've interviewed Tom Dundon and Rod Brindamore and Jordan Martinook and Sebastian Aho and other key players from this championship team. So folks can find the audio, the video, the articles right there at the website, ncsportsnetwork.com.
Are you ever going to bring back the football tour in the fall? Yeah,
we have had variations of that tour. It's different than what I did for about a decade prior to that. It's not every weekend, every football game. So we're actually discussing right now how we're going to approach that in 2026. But
East Carolina app, you need to be at that one.
I always like to include ECU and app. So in that case, we could get them both on the same day.
September the 12th, that's our home opener. And that's going to be really big. East Carolina has lost 3 straight. So if you're a Pirate fan, you do not want to lose to the Mountaineers.
Keep in mind, we have not played App since we've been good again. So, got to take care of that this year.
The battle of my children's alma maters.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. Avery went there. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, DG, thank you so much. Appreciate your patience with me, and thanks for being on with us longer tonight. And we'll have a safe vacation. I guess that's the summer sabbatical.
Yeah, we've got a couple of them at this stage of life. I take more freedom in the off season. Like with you guys, probably things ramp back up in August, and then they die down, get a little slower in April. So at this stage of my life and career, my wife and I just went to Denver. We're headed to New York City again. I'm going to Nantucket, and she and I are going to Spain and Portugal pretty soon. So we're trying to just celebrate at this stage of life, see the world a little bit more than when we were in the daily grind for about 30 some years.
Well, big deal. We're going to the Outer Banks tomorrow for the rest of the week. How about that?
That is a great one of my favorite places in the whole world.
And there's nowhere I go more often than the North Carolina coast. That's my number one destination.
Well, you live in Wilmington, don't you?
In Raleigh area.
Yeah, I live in Raleigh, but I visit Wilmington a lot.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking you were teaching at UNCW.
Correct.
At one point.
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
All right, DG. Thank you, man.
All right, boys.
So much.
Thank you, sir.
Good to be with you. Take care, guys.
Yeah, David.
All right, have a good vacation. See you. Bye. All right, fellas.
All right, I want to know who JR went to see. What show?
Okay, yeah, I can talk about that now. And I was quiet during that because I'm a college sports dude. I don't really care about the NBA or the NHL, but I was following the Hurricanes, so I thought y'all should do most of the talking. But as far as who I saw, Kyle, I was disappointed. I told Dave it was a Van Halen tribute band. Okay, here's the problem. When you're a Van Halen tribute band, you have to try to duplicate Eddie Van Halen, which is not really possible. And I sent Stevie a clip of them covering a kid. No, that was the warm-up band. Never mind. That was the warm-up band.
Yeah,
it was called Queen Anne's Revenge.
Queen
Anne's Revenge was better than the Van Halen tribute band. Here's the thing. Here's what they did, Kyle. First of all, I told Dave, I paid for a ticket. They did a lot of the hold the mic out to the audience and let them finish the lyrics. I don't want to sing. I'm paying you to sing. I bought a ticket.
Time for that, but it needs to be done right.
Yeah, it wasn't done right. They did a lot of storytelling. They did a lot of individual solos because they couldn't play Van Halen because no one can really duplicate that. And the few songs they did, it was a legit, effort. And the lead singer did do a really good job of talking like David Lee Roth and, a little bit too much with the jumping and clapping his hands between his legs and that kind of stuff. But no, they weren't really good enough to be a Van Halen tribute band. So
I'm sorry, but I would just laugh at that crap. That's what I don't tribute bands. You're pretending like you're somebody else.
Yeah.
I hope he sounded better than David Lee Roth does now.
Well, no, you know what? He went on he talked about that. He's like, yeah, David Lee Roth, he's 72. Quit bashing his ass because, he's surrounded by a great band and he's reached the point in his life where he doesn't give a rat's ass about what anybody else thinks. and he lets the band pick the songs. He doesn't pick the song. He wants to play Jump. He wants to play Unchained. But other than that, he lets them pick the songs. And yeah, he can't. His voice is shot, but he was the man for like 15 to 20 years, and he was. But now, you know, he's not. He doesn't have it anymore. But the warm-up band was called Queen Anne's Revenge. They were from Bath, North Carolina. And let me tell you, first of all, the lead singer dressed up as a pirate. He had a long beard. It wasn't black, but a long gray beard. He wore a pirate's hat, pirate pants, a bunch of chains around him. And the dude he liked to drink, and he would finish 2 beers in one song. And I thought his performance even got better the more he drank. And then the funny thing is, Kyle, after the show, I met him. He was 100% sober. So I don't know if it was an act, if he wasn't drinking beer, but I don't know. But he was great. The band is great. If anybody has a chance to see Queen Anne's Revenge, I would highly recommend them. They kick some butt.
Yeah, I saw, I was at the Bird's Nest, not this past Saturday, but the prior Saturday in Dunn. Great little venue. Thought about it multiple times. Got to see Matt Mason there. And that was a good show. Talking about a guy who likes to tell stories on stage. He played for about 2 hours and told stories about how he wrote each song, because he writes most of his own stuff. So if you ever get a chance, and I've said this multiple times on the show, to go to the Bird's Nest in Dunn, it's one of the great little music venues in this state. No matter who you go see there, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going to see Greggy and the Jets on Thursday, and that's by far my favorite tribute band I've ever seen.
That's where
They're
John
good.
Allen met for the first time. 2 great.
He doesn't remember that, but I do.
Absolutely, certainly I remember.
I haven't washed my hands since I met Alan. That night.
I'm not touching that one.
Literally. but yeah, it was. I remember meeting you because we were underneath the stadium, because it was
trying to dodge the leaky roof.
Yeah,
not roof, but just the leaky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hotter than 42 hells on Thursday, but I'm going to go because I love Greggy and the Jets, and
they're outstanding. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'd go as well.
I'm not a big tribute band guy, but these guys are pretty darn.
No,
well, that's the thing, Kyle. You have to know. You have to know, like, the band. Like, I think Johnny, you and I were talking about looking at YouTube. You kind of have to do your research on how long the band's been. Like, Second Helping, the Leonard Skinner tribute band, was the very first Leonard Skinner. Those friends of mine, and they go all the way back to like 1987. So those guys like learned from the original members, or not every original member, but most of them, how to play everything. There's a big difference in that, and to have someone that's just playing whatever group songs. There's a really big difference.
Hey, Dave, the show that you promoted with the Journey tribute band, what were they called?
Very good.
Yeah. They were outstanding. I mean, they did Journey justice. I thought they didn't try to make it their own. They just stuck to what people wanted to hear, and I thought they were great.
What I would go see, I'm not a tribute band guy, but I do like. There's a band called I think it's called Should Have Been a Cowboy. I haven't seen them. They
play at the Buck all the time.
Okay, I haven't watched them. Yeah. But they do 90s country. Nothing but 90s country. Yeah. See, or like an 8. That's fine. But just like somebody pretending like they're a different band, I mean, it's just so.
Should have been a cowboy though, Kyle. They that was a whole fabrication thing. Like, they used to do rock, and then they decided, hey, what if we did 90s country? And they weren't really country fans, but they do it really, really well.
I don't like that either. I see, now you just turn me off from them.
Well, they do it well, though, I think.
Yeah, but you're doing it now just because it's going to make money, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, you don't. So it's about making money, though.
Play for free. Every band is.
To me, music should be about the art. And if through your art you can make money and make a lot of money, then you're really good at it. But if you're just doing something to make money, then I'm not a fan of it.
But you can't make money if nobody wants to hear it.
Every cover band needs to cease to exist. Think about all the.
If you're doing it for the right reasons, like if you're a '90s country fan and you start a 90s country group, that's fantastic. But if you're just doing it because you're not a 90s country fan, but you think, hey, this will work, this will get us booked, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I get it, but I'm not a fan of it.
My apologies. They should have been Cowboys.
Yeah, well, they've lost my support.
Been a cowboy.
Yeah, that's just. I have a very strict set of rules with music.
Kyle would like me. I'm in a Kiss tribute band.
I think Kenny Curlings is on vacation, but if he was watching, he would definitely chime in right now.
Stevie, you're in a Kiss tribute band. Is it called Peck on the Cheek? What's it called?
What?
It's called Smooch.
Is it called Lick? I mean, what's it called?
They wouldn't do one like that. They'd use a album name or a song name.
No, not
Mr. Speed.
Not in my Kiss tribute band. It would be called like French Kiss. It'd be great.
Y'all would be terrible too.
Well, that's all right. I'm gonna start a Kiss tribute band because people like Kiss.
Do it. I want to see you put the makeup on.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Stevie, I know what the tribute band name is gonna be.
I've heard rumors about Kyle's tongue, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
it was a cow's tongue, wasn't it, Alan?
It's called Lick It Up. No, I love one of my favorite tribute albums from the '90s is "Kiss My Ass." So I think Kyle, that would be Kyle.
That would fit Kyle because he would say it all the time.
There you go.
That's definitely the great.
Kyle's tribute band's gonna be called Cinder Blocks.
Dude, Stevie, dude.
That's all I'm saying, Kyle. That's all I'm saying.
Really.
That's all I'm saying.
Are we gonna?
Then that better be all you say.
Are we going to? We've been in an hour 46. Do you guys want to table any discussion on East Carolina?
Yeah, we're going to table that discussion. If Stevie brings it up again, I'm going to drive to Alaska and put my foot in his ass.
Yep.
Yeah. When's our next show? Sunday?
Yeah.
We got
it. I mean, at some point, I did want to talk about Brandon Sorsby, but it's too much. That's not something you want to start an hour and 46 minutes into the show. But I'll just say this for anybody out there: I'm one of the few, if not the only person on earth that was on his side. It's completely ridiculous how much money the NCAA generates off of gambling sites and gambling sponsoring this and gambling that. He bet on his own team to win, and he was never on the field when he did it. He was at Indiana. The fact that you want to just ruin his life and never let him play football again is just completely ridiculous to me. I thought he should have served a suspension, because he did gamble, which you're not allowed to do. He should pay the price, but to suspend him for the whole year was asinine in my opinion, but nobody else felt that way. So it's over now, so I don't have to talk about it anymore, but I supported him being able to play. So there you go.
Yeah, we probably need to address some ECU stuff. It's still an ECU podcast. We got the commitment from the kid from Purdue yesterday. Does anybody have his name handy? I don't have it, but
Weston.
Yeah, batted 285.
Weston Boyle.
Yeah, batted 285, I believe. Did pretty good fielding percentage. Fielding percentage was better than both our shortstops. Did commit 11 errors. He's going to have to improve on that. But, it got national attention. There was some national baseball sites that really praised that pickup from ECU that said he was poised to be picked up by a Big 12, ACC, or SEC school. So big time commit from the portal there. Getting a legitimate freshman, starter who did good things at Purdue in year one.
Yeah, and here's the thing: he was offered by Kansas State, TCU, and UCLA. I mean, UCLA was the best team in the country for most of the season, and he chose East Carolina, and that's a trend I've been seeing lately with football, and now him in baseball, where like Phoenix Barnes in football, he turned down App. He turned down JMU. He turned down FAU, Coastal, Army, Navy, Liberty. You're seeing that a lot, man. Guys turning down bigger teams to come to ECU. And he said he prayed about it. And I'm not saying that I truly, I pray about things all the time about, hey, help me make this decision. And he said the answer was clear. I need to be in Greenville. And here's the funny thing. On Wednesday, that'll be the first time he ever steps foot in Pitt County. He's never been here, and he already signed. This is Weston Boyle, the shortstop. He's never been here.
Okay.
He never came on a visit. Nothing.
I thought you were talking about someone else.
No, he was so. He's the one that prayed about the decision, and he said, "I'm. This is where I'm going. I'm sure I'll like it. I'll find out on Wednesday." You know. So I just think it's a great pickup, like you said, Kyle. It's there's only one team in our conference that has really signed anybody of note out of the portal, and they were nowhere as good as this guy, and that was UAB. They picked up a pitcher, and Memphis picked up a pitcher, but nowhere near as high credentialed as this shortstop was. And shortstop's a very, very sought after position, obviously, in the portal.
Yeah, they go fast in the portal. I mean, so it's essentially like getting an offensive lineman in football out of the portal, which we also did well this year, getting an offensive lineman out of the portal. Picking up football, I wanted to touch on this. All the preseason mags are coming out in Lindy's. You can buy that and wipe your ass with it. Don't even want to talk about that. Athlon has us picked 4th, according to Mr. Stevie Fly. I haven't seen it. Phil Steele in the American. Phil Steele also has us picked 4th in the American, but he does his 9 sets of power rankings. 3 out of his 9 sets of power rankings have us going 7-1 in the league. He thinks we're going to be a good team. He's just concerned about how offense can come together, but he thinks Blake did a good job in the portal. What I do find interesting about Phil Steele, and again, I think it's the only magazine worth buying. The American, I'm going off remembering off the top of my head here. He had Navy winning the league, UTSA second, Tulane third, East Carolina 4th, Army also tied for 4th. He had like Memphis and USF I think at 8th and 9th, which I was shocked at that. So this will be interesting to see how the league plays out. But if you're going to spend your money on the preseason mag, get Phil Steele, even if it's just to draw your own conclusions, because the amount of information in that magazine is just unreal. Some people think it's overwhelming, but I like it because I trust Phil's opinion, but what I buy his magazine for is I can do research to draw my own conclusions on teams.
Right. And you can read about, what kind of what the depth is and stuff like that. I'll say this about Phil Steele, though. There's no way he knows as much as, the people in our local, like us. I mean, we know more about the Pirates than he does.
Carolina, but he knows.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But I'm not downgrading him at all. I feel like he's the best one out there. There's no doubt about it. I respect it. I want to hear what he has to say. But I mean, how do you pick someone to go and you said 2 or 3 different metrics, 7-1, but finish 4th in the conference?
He has 9 sets of power rankings. Okay, that's how he comes up with a lot of his stuff. He uses those power rankings. I don't know what those power rankings are made up of. I don't know how that works, but it's something he's had since the beginning of his magazine. 3 of his 9 have us going 7-1. He didn't He didn't write in the magazine what the other 6 have. One may have us going, 5-7. So I don't know. App State, he said his power rankings had a lot of trouble, with them. He said he had 1 set of power rankings, have them have 3 wins this year, but his main set of power rankings has them having 8 wins. So he has them picked 4th in the Sun Belt East, for what that's worth, by the way, for anybody wondering. But it's interesting. It's an interesting read. He definitely thinks we'll be a contender in the conference. I don't think he thinks there's a big difference between the top 4 teams in the league, from what I was reading. But I did find it incredibly interesting that he had South Florida and Memphis as low as he did. I was not expecting to see that.
Yeah,
he's not a Charles Huff fan, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tell you what, it's going to be an interesting offseason because I've like I told you guys, I'm very high on this team.
I am too.
I agree with Kyle that I think we all are saying pretty much the same thing but different ways. We are cautiously optimistic. We all know that, like the baseball season, we can have injuries. There's a lot of variables. However, I do believe that Johnny and I were talking about getting ready for the show, and I'm so high on Blake right now until he shows me something different of like a really bad team based on just a bad product on the field and little or no talent. Then I'm always going to root hard for him, and I think that we're going to be a lot better. I also think we're going to be more ahead of schedule than people think, because it's only.
I think most people think we're going to be good. I mean, being picked fourth is not a slap in the face. When you got as many new pieces as we have, the only piece we have returning on offense of major significance is Brock Spalding. With apologies to the running back, I can't think of his name, that got a bit of playing time last year.
Lacey.
Lacey. It's brand new quarterbacks, new offensive line, but the pieces are good. You got 3 starters there on the offensive line, 2 from FBS programs, 1 from a quality FCS program. You got quarterbacks with starting experience. You got some good receivers in there.
Landon Sides at North Texas.
Yes, you got a good running back there from North Texas. Yes, and also Schemes or whatever his name is. But there's a lot of pieces, but all those pieces have to come together. You could have a situation like Coastal Carolina where they don't come together until the middle of the season. They win 6 games. At the beginning of the season, I didn't think Coastal would win 1 game. Yeah. Or, well, they had already won 1 game against the FCS school, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it's going to depend on how fast that offense clicks. That's why I have such concern about the Alabama game. I don't think it gives us a chance to get the offense in rhythm. It's going to have to get in rhythm game 2 against App. And then is it game 3? Is ODU game 3 or game 4?
3.
Yeah, ODU was a 10-win team last year. By the way, Phil Steele picked them second in the Sun Belt East, just behind JMU. And
I hope they're good. I hope they're very good, and I hope we beat them. And
I hope they're the drizzling shits and we beat them. I'd rather blow somebody out. ODU, I don't want to make this the Phil Steele Power Hour, but again, that's a team that he said could win double-digit wins again. So that trip to Norfolk is not going to be easy, although they got a new OC. They promoted their wide receiving coach, so it's the same system. And they brought in 2 quarterbacks. I like the they brought in 1 quarterback, a transfer from Washington State, and then the kid that started their bowl game and won their bowl against South Florida State. Their primary quarterback transferred out. But they do have some continuity, but they have some new pieces too. I think our schedule non-conference may be a little more difficult outside of Alabama than people realize, because I think Appalachian, because of the timing, it's going to be an issue. I think we'll win it, but I think it's going to be tough. And I think that ODU game I don't know that really the average fan has that game on their radar. That ODU game in Norfolk is going to be a war.
Yeah, that crowd's going to be going crazy in Norfolk. I'm going to go to that game.
I think I might too, JR.
Yeah, I'll definitely will be there. I mean, if you look at it, we have the Alabama game, which is not close by. We have the home game with App. You have the away game with ODU, and then you have the home game with North Carolina Central. So the month of September, you could really, you definitely will have one of the 2 road games is close by. But the month of September, if you have that magical trip to Tuscaloosa and you throw the 3 others in, then you should be.
I'm gonna just stay at Stevie's house. What are you about 45 minutes from Virginia Beach, Stevie?
Well, apparently I'm north of Virginia Beach, the way you always talk.
Oh, 45 minutes south.
Hey, I'd like to put out a public service announcement right now, because anybody that's thinking of traveling to Old Dominion for that football game, Route 64 in Virginia, we have a new governor, and she has put up speed cameras every couple of miles, and they've already made like double, like $20-something million, and 100 of that came from me when I went to the William and Mary baseball game. It's just not fair. I mean, it's just, you can't prove that you weren't going that fast. You just get your tag number and how fast you were going, and it was $100, and there's no way you can fight it. And so if you're going to go, if you're on Route 64, do the speed limit.
They tried that crap in Greenville.
It's not constitutional, in my opinion.
It didn't go well.
And you know how much the city lost on that, by the way?
$900,000.
$900,000.
Yeah, it didn't last long. So I remember that early 2000s. Well, maybe mid 2000s, but anyway. But yeah, that's Jessica and I were talking about going to that game. It's a good weekend trip. You can day trip it easily. You can stay at Virginia Beach, stay in Norfolk. For that matter, you can stay at the Outer Banks and then do a day trip. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could do that trip to ODU. Maybe you'd like to see lovely scenic Elizabeth City. But anyway, it is definitely a doable trip from anywhere in the state of North Carolina or Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in DC, it's an easy trip also. Like if you're we have a lot of Pirate fans that are in the Richmond area. We have a lot of Pirate fans in the 757, which is definitely a home game for them. And DC, Maryland, the DMV. I mean, there's thousands of fans that are within a short drive to come to that game.
I think we'll have a great crowd for that game. No doubt about that.
Before we go, I want to mention, how about Steve Logan and the Louisville Kings winning the United?
Yeah, that was one of the things we want to talk about, that with the United Bowl. Again, please bring back the USFL name, please.
Yeah, and former East Carolina wide receiver Isaiah Winstead.
Isaiah Winstead, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was hysterical that Pirate Radio kept posting about that, but because of Logan's relationship with 94.3, never would acknowledge Logan was
that war is escalating, Kyle.
Do what?
Oh,
Yeah,
I said that media war is escalating.
Yeah, he just
I didn't know that. So you're going to talk bad about Pirate Radio?
I'm not. No, heck no, I'm not. No, not at all.
I thought it was hysterical that they just kept noting Isaiah Winstead, but never would acknowledge Logan. I thought that was hysterical. I mean, I get it. Logan's contract 94.3, but it's like not acknowledging. Okay, if you don't want to acknowledge Patrick Johnson for something, sure, that makes sense. But it's Steve Logan. I mean, he's a part of East Carolina history. It's kind of
the number one coach of all time.
It's kind of a glaring admission when you leave him out of something like that. When you're acknowledging
Hey, it'd be like talking about the UFC event last night at the White House and not mentioning Donald Trump. Sorry, Dave, but that event was really, really, really entertaining. I watched it. I don't know how many other people got a chance to see it.
Watched it.
You did, Alan?
I did, yes.
Wasn't it the same time as the hockey game?
Yeah, you can do both. I had the volume down for hockey.
Let me tell you something. The Stanley Cup Finals is way more important. And
but it was one of the most patriotic events I've ever seen. It was beautiful, and it was great production. It was the athletes were amazing. It was a great night. It wasn't over till 1:15 either.
Yeah, with America's 250 coming up, I don't care which side of the aisle you fall on.
Yeah, it wasn't about politics.
Yeah, this needs to be everybody. I mean, just 250 years. That's something to celebrate, and I just hope people can put aside all the stupid, petty BS and just celebrate this country and how lucky we are to live in it and be a part of it.
I just wanted to be where a UFC don't make the spectacle of the White House. That's my problem.
But it was part of the 250 celebration.
It was the president's birthday, and he owns part of the UFC. I don't have anything against the UFC. I just don't want the UFC at the White House. That's the people's house. I want it to be sacred. Next, we're going to have a fight on the Capitol steps, and then it's going to be. I mean,
here's my thoughts on it. I think both sides suck, and I think maybe somebody should worry about the price of groceries and the price of food at restaurants and the price of gas, and the price of every damn thing in the world. And then I'll be happy to be an American again. Until then, both sides can kiss my fat
Kyle, the fuel prices are dropping, and
oh great! Let me know when I can go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac combo for less than $10.
Yeah, those days are probably over.
$14
because they never go back. I mean, they raise prices when
I've become a big and I'm not eating any of that crap right now because I'm on a diet and the Zepbound's going well. But I've been becoming a big proponent of Highway 55. You tell me. Why the hell Highway 55 can sell me a quality double cheeseburger with bacon, tots, and a drink for $10.99, and McDonald's is charging me the same BS for I swear to God, I went to Taco Bell yesterday because I am on my diet, and I got 2 grilled chicken tacos, 2 grilled chicken, little soft shell grilled chicken tacos, only 300 calories, but 2 grilled chicken tacos, little small ass piss ass. You've seen the soft shell chicken tacos, and a Pepsi Zero, $8 and some change. That used to be $4 all day.
Yep.
I mean, it's just ass. And if people would stop going to these stupid ass fast food places and quit spending their money there and support local or regional,
I agree with you there.
I mean, you're paying the same price or maybe $1 more to go eat at the local place. Why are people? Why would
I
you
do that, Kyle. I absolutely do that.
Why would you go spend $10 at McDonald's when you can spend $11 at Highway 55? It makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Hey, to give you an example, Kyle, of how far I go. Not Steve and I go. How far I go to support local businesses on 95 on my way down here. You know, they only put national chains on the signage on 95 for what restaurants are at the next exit. So I've had to do it through years of experience and Google Maps, and I know exactly where the local places are, and that's where I spend my money.
Yeah, and I don't mind the national places if their prices are reasonable. I'll tell you this, and you know, I think pizza places, maybe their quality has gone down, but I think pizza places have done a good job of the big chains. I think Domino's has spearheaded it because Domino's and it has really done well keeping their prices down, and I think because of that, Pizza Hut has had to do the same. Papa John, because you know, Pizza Hut, but Yum Brands has not done that with Taco Bell and KFC, but with Pizza Hut they have because they had to. Because of Domino's leading the way, Little Caesars is still cheap. Papa John's has had to come down on their prices. So I will praise the national pizza chains for keeping their prices down. As long as you go online and order, I mean, you can get a large 3-topping pizza for Pizza Hut for $10. You can't beat that.
I'll tell you one thing: when you look at big box stores, you want to talk about greedflation. That is a real thing, and I'll tell you why. I told you guys this a couple years ago on the show, but my mother pointed out, and she's exactly right. She's so smart, and she's a professional shopper in the family. But she's 5'4", and obviously I'm 6'1", right? So she noticed that the generic brands that are obviously cheaper, they have those way high up, and at eye level, they have the more expensive brand name stuff. Now, are they these people the first ones to ever do it? No. But you're billionaires and you're billionaires and you're billionaires. After a while, guess what's going to happen? You're going to price yourself out of business because people can't afford it. So you're smarter if you did your dad and granddad's idea. So y'all know who I'm talking about now. By having the lowest.
He's talking about Walmart.
Lowest prices. They don't have the lowest prices anymore. It's a joke.
You know what though? Online, I went online. I need a new mattress for the guest bedroom.
Yeah.
And Walmart saved me like $100 over anybody else.
Things like mattresses, electronics, those prices are still hell. Electronics, you can get a damn like 80-inch TV for like $50 now. Not literally, but you get what I'm saying. That's the one thing that is cheap. I bought a new mattress for the guest bedroom last summer, JR, and I got it off Amazon, and it was little or nothing. Like, I didn't spend very much. So the stuff like that, it's not stuff like that. It's not buying. Furniture prices are still within reasonable what they were. Electronic prices it's your day-to-day necessities. It's food and gas that they're killing you with. And they're doing it on purpose. They're doing it on purpose because it's the one thing we have to buy. And they want us all to be as poor as they possibly can. So, you know, we're subservient to the government. I mean, it's anyway. Don't get me started. They can all kiss my ass.
I'm not gonna get you started, Kyle, but I'm gonna add this.
That's the name of the band.
Yeah, right. I've noticed that they use fuel prices because everything is shipped by diesel fuel to raise prices. But when the fuel price, those prices will never go back. They go up when prices go up, but when prices go down, they don't come back down. They stay up, and they're going to go up again.
I do think at some point some of these fast food prices are going to come down. And I'm going to tell you something else, and this is driving me crazy too. If you ignoramuses, and when I say you ignoramuses, I mean anybody out there listening that does this. McDonald's and all these places now, because of success like Starbucks and Seven Brew, Now it's all these morons now will go to McDonald's and spend $4 on a dirty Dr. Pepper where they just take a Dr. Pepper that's $1.50 and pour some creamer in it, and that's $4. You morons! What is wrong with people?
I didn't know that was a thing. Dirty
Yeah,
Dr.
hell
Pepper?
yeah, dirty sodas.
Yeah.
Dirty sodas are huge now. The Mormons made them popular, and now they've gone national.
Dang.
Yeah, I do know about that. That's
I can't imagine messing up a good Mountain Dew. Sorry.
Dude, you can buy dirty Mountain Dew already made. Shit, Alan. Next time you go to the store, look for it. You know what it tastes like? Lime sherbet. If you like lime sherbet, you'll like it. If you don't like lime sherbet, you'll want to throw it up.
This is new to me.
Don't mess with my Mountain Dews, man. Those are sacred.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, you about ready to wrap it up? We're at right at 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Hey, Alan, I saw a commercial where the Mountain Dew fellow with a big green jacket that was at Sup Dogs and the East Carolina football game when we played Army.
Alan tried to tackle the guy to take that coat off of him.
I don't blame him. That's a nice coat he had there. Anyhow,
Alan back.
You have no idea.
I saw him on a commercial just last night, and it was the can changed from Mountain Dew. They showed like the old Mountain Dew, like hillbilly, and then they changed it. Now the can said American Dew. Is that just a temporary thing?
Yes, for American 250. Yes.
Okay, so it's going to go back to Mountain Dew, right?
Yes. For American 250.
Thank goodness. All right, I can sleep tonight then.
Yeah, it is. And look, Mountain Dew needs to bring back, and I always forget they come out with all these flavors and they have different names for them. And I cannot remember the name of this flavor. That was Spark. It was a raspberry lemonade Mountain Dew, and it was out a couple years ago. It was the best Mountain Dew they've ever made, and they need to bring it back. Bring back Mountain Dew Spark, please. I'm begging you.
All right.
No, never mind. Don't, because I can't drink regular sodas right now.
So how's the diet going, by the way?
Good. The Zepbound's working. I do think I need a little stronger dose, but it is working. I don't know how much weight I've lost now, but anywhere between 15 to 20 pounds. And this is going back from the surgery to now. I did not walk this evening. This is the first time I haven't. I'm walking 1 to 2 miles every day. Literally today, all I've eaten all day. For lunch, I had a little chicken wrap, and for dinner, I had a taco salad, and I literally have eaten nothing else all day. And right now, since that taco salad, I ate that at 5:30. I still feel like I'm gonna puke. So Zepbound's doing its job. It's keeping me from snacking. Last night, I might have got hungry real late at night for some reason, and what I did was I went and ate a bunch of pineapple and other fruit out of the refrigerator, and so it's going well. The goal is to be 100 pounds lighter a year from now, and I think I'm going to do it, guys. I feel very confident that I'm going to get this done this time.
Got it.
I do have a question, Kyle. I do have a quick question. When are you going to – I know what the secret recipe for you to lose more weight, you need to put bandanas on.
Yeah. No.
Oh, boy.
No, I'm not gonna.
Don't go there, Dave.
I'm not going to do that. I don't know. I don't know what that image was.
It wasn't you.
It was not me. I looked like I was 100.
70-year-old. It was a 70-year-old. I don't know. It's a cross between a man and a woman wearing a bandana. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd already lost some weight. I will say that, but I don't know what in the hell. That was the worst AI image Matt's ever made.
You're going to be lean and mean by football season, buddy.
I don't know about that, Alan. I'll certainly be down some more weight, but I'm hoping. Well, I don't want to get in the air what I weigh, but I'm hoping by December to be halfway to my goal, and then this time next year to be 100 pounds lighter. And
50 pounds, you're going to tell a huge difference in everything.
Yeah, I know. I can.
Okay.
Just from getting out and walking every day, 1 to 2 miles, I can already tell a difference just in getting around. And I did that last year. Last October, I was in the best shape I'd been in a while, and was not taking the Zepbound. And this year, I'm doing it with the Zepbound, and I got to finish it this time. I can't get distracted. Can't get discouraged. I'm gonna hit that goal, hit the 100-pound goal, lose my weight, and I'm gonna tell a lot of people to as the name of my tribute band would be, kiss my ass.
And the thing
it's a lot of T-shirts, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is a family show, so we can't talk about it. But your performance in the bedroom when you lose that weight. Oh my God!
Now let me tell you something. If I get any better at that, if I get any better at that, then I'm gonna tell you, for a big boy, I can get the job done. But ladies, if you want to find
Okay, I'm
out,
muting this
just
now.
go ahead.
I'm
All
with you,
right, we
Stevie.
need it. Yeah, come on now.
But it's I do appreciate the
La, la,
encouragement.
la, la, la,
Do
Thanks,
appreciate
Al.
the encouraging words
Porky Pig.
from Alan Vick there.
Well, I know when I know other people that I've known that have lost weight and feel good about themselves. Every fat life gets better, So.
Yeah, I will say, for full disclosure, I don't have problems in the area, but it's good. It's good to be better at anything.
Yeah, we're getting way too personal here, guys. And I
Hey,
don't want to hear
Kyle,
about
practice makes perfect. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I practice an awful lot.
Okay.
So
There you go. A lot of people wanted to know that by watching the show.
With or without a partner.
You damn right. If I'm sitting around the house with nothing else to do, you might as well.
easy breathing.
All righty then.
You know what the kids are calling that now? They're gooning. You're a gooner. So Dave, if you hear your son talking about gooners or gooning, that is what that means now.
Not the Goonies.
Yeah, I was getting ready. Man, Stevie, you and I are the same age. I was getting ready to say the Goonies, and you beat me to it. But yeah, not one of the great movies from the 80s.
His word for sexual activity now is goonies, gooners.
Gooner. If you do that by yourself, you're a gooner, and while you're doing it, you're gooning.
Gooning.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. We learned it her first.
That's
We learned
sick, Kyle.
It is sick. It is sick. In the literal term of the word.
JR, you won the battle tonight. You won it.
Not the activity, but just that term, gooning and gooners. It's so stupid.
All right. Well, what a way to end the show. I don't know what y'all are going to be doing, but I'm going to bed. So
I might either wake my wife up or go gooning.
After our last topic, who knows who's doing what? Yeah.
That's right. And Stevie's going to watch the Goonies. So
I'll tell you, I'm going to walk the dogs because it's finally below 90 degrees. So
walk the dogs. That's another time too.
That's what I call it anyhow, walking the dog.
I always heard that like when you're kicking somebody's ass, walk the dog on his ass.
Yeah, walk the dog. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
All right, gentlemen.
All
Hope
right.
you have a great night.
Enjoy as always, gentlemen. Always educational and entertaining for sure.
Have a great week. We'll be back on.
Hey guys, Sunday night I'll have a full review of my $99 a night room at the Outer Banks in June. So,
what are you going to do? Nags Head? Where are you going?
Yeah, we're actually gonna be staying in Manio because that's where I can get the cheapest hotel at.
Wow. Okay.
$99 a night in June in the Outer Banks. I'm almost scared to find out, but I told Jessica, at least at the Outer Banks, you don't. It's not like Myrtle Beach where you get a cheap hotel where you have to worry about your safety. It may not be the nicest place, but you'll be fine.
Take a lot of quarters with you.
I'm thinking about taking a black light with me.
Oh wow!
It's probably down by the Piggly Wiggly, down that end of the island. I'm guessing.
I'm not sure. I'll find out.
It's nice. I would stay there, no doubt.
Dude, I've had family. Not having family at the Outer Banks for me is so weird because my Uncle Bill lived there when I was a little kid. My granddad and grandmom lived there through the 90s and early 2000s. My mom lived there for about 10 years in the mid to late 2000s. So I've always, all those people are gone now. So not having any family at the Outer Banks, I didn't have to pay for a hotel at the Outer Banks up until the last 10 years. So it's miss not seeing family when I go up there, but looking forward to the trip.
Awesome. Enjoy, Kyle.
All right, let us know how it goes. Father's Day is coming up on Sunday, so we'll have our show.
Thank you for reminding me, Dave.
Yeah, 8:00 on Sunday night. So after I'll have all those festivities out of the way, and we'll be back. And we might have a special guest. We're working on that right now. I don't want to talk about it, but I'll tell you guys off air. In the meantime, have a great week, everybody. And as always, go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.